when someone is looking at an acquisition,
Yep.
given the fact that you've been through a few, you know, how would you counsel someone when they're looking? Because what you just said is like it typically doesn't work out like the ideal situation. But obviously, you know, some investors or even founders want to have some liquidity. You know, is it
right?
Yeah. So what would be your advice on if someone's like looking at this crossroads?
If they're actually looking at a possible sale, but it's not absolutely cut and dried. I mean, I don't know if it almost never is, I suppose, but excuse me. I guess I would look at, I'm not going to nuts and bolts this from a financial perspective, because there are a bunch of people that could do that, I'm sure, a lot more effectively than I could, but I think in your gut you know the value of the business, and if you're close to a fair price, so I think a lot of that ends up being more gut feel than goal seek in Excel, but you know, within reason. But for me, in looking at so I know we've kind of skipped over the story of FeedBurner entirely, but when Google started looking at FeedBurner very seriously as an acquirer, and we actually went through these rounds of interviews as a company, as individuals in the company, to see how we all fit in there, and like who would make the leap and who wouldn't. I mean, the cold, harsh reality of it is that it happens in a lot of these acquisitions. You have a sense for how you think things are going to work out for you personally, as well as for the product, based on how culturally compatible you feel that post-merger company is going to be. Like, do the people that you're joining share your point of view in general on how to build product and how to work together? And
is it you, as the founder of this startup, interviewing them as well?
Yes, it is. But I mean, at that point, it's more about, it always goes both ways. Like, if you're in a job interview or some kind of interview and you're doing well, but you just like get a terrible feeling about the way the business works, or you just don't have good chemistry, I mean, in general, that'll come out, but you'll also, as the interviewee, be making your own judgment going, I don't want to work here. This place is, I make some money, but this place is terrible. It just goes against everything. I don't feel comfortable here. And I think you feel the same thing in an acquisition scenario, where you're meeting the corp dev leads or the CEO, or, it depends on the scale and scope of the company. You'll have that, you'll either get some quick words with them, and welcome to the team and all of that, or you'll maybe have a more honest and in-depth moment of insight in talking to senior people running the deal, or the people you're likely to be working with after the fact. And you got to go with your gut on those and feel like, this is somebody 6 months from now I could still see myself either reporting to or seeking advice from. Like, if you would go to one of the people that you talk to during the corp dev process well after the fact and say, I'm having trouble navigating political or functional channel X, can you give me some advice on that? And you feel like that's somebody you would actually go back to after the fact, it's probably a decent leading indicator that they're closer to having your interests truly at heart than somebody that's just trying to run some number.